In the Hearts and Minds, Book 0, The Birth of a Hero, Story 28, This is How Villains Are Made, / What It Means to Be Human, 4. Iago remembered the twinkle of mischief in Pepper's eyes. He remembered helping the man choose colors for his mustache. He remembered how Arlie's entire demeanor just calmed whenever he was around. They used to be wound so tight, Iago was afraid of them. All Pepper would have to do was walk in, sling a tattooed arm around Arlie's shoulder, and there'd be laughter within seconds. He was like that. Pepper was everything Iago couldn't become, things Iago couldn't imagine becoming. Pepper had taught him how to be friends with Dolphin. He'd taught him to welcome Burrow and Rowley when they had started growing out of him. He didn't know much about farming or baking or maple syrup, but he knew lots of other things. He knew the day the two of them were going to be attacked by a street gang, and he prevented it from happening as easily as a magic trick. Iago knew he was safe with Pepper. He depended on him, as surely as a teacher. Iago had never been very close to his male relatives, especially his father. There was always this weird distance between them. Iago was different. He didn't know how to not be different, and they didn't know what to do with that. Where Iago couldn't rely on any other male presence, he could rely on Pepper. He was, once upon a time, Iago's guiding light. Now he knew that, even back then, even when he was a sick man on a cot, Pepper had been negotiating deals with Truvia's military on when it would be best to take Fa down. He had sabotaged more than a dozen missions. He had orchestrated the deaths of hundreds of people who he had laughed with, who looked forward to seeing him, who depended on him, who treated him as family, as a comrade, as a friend. There was no feeling in the world that could come close to describing it. There was rage. There was unfairness. Then there was this betrayal. Could it be called betrayal if Pepper had never, not once, been on their side? Iago was just another character in one of Pepper's plays. That's how careless, how dismissive the whole thing was. So now, when Pepper was so far from the city that the country had rotted through his colorful mustache and cashmere pants, all that was left of him was the truth. And the truth couldn't look Iago in the eyes. The worst part, the absolute worst part. Iago had thought about Flora. He had thought about Pepper. How was he supposed to honor their memory, especially knowing he fought a losing battle? Iago just wanted Truvia to stop pretending like they were saints. He just wanted them to stop hurting his family. He just wanted them to stop treating them like terrorists and allow different opinions to be heard. Stop experimenting on people and steeping them. Stop using the frosted as a means of controlling the citizens. Stop the embargo on cheese. Seriously? Seriously? What Iago could accomplish with the power of Vardy Hamilton? No. The worst part was not the betrayal of this rotten fig. In paying homage to those who had built him, Iago's first idea had been to enlighten the citizens of Truvia with a story, with plays and books and songs and epics, bare the ugly truth and all the pain they'd shed. He got that idea from Pepper, with all his characters and all their tears. You made us mourn you, Iago said now, ignoring the blonde woman because he literally could not handle both of these problems at once. The whiteness in his vision had turned black. Purple and blue flickered at every blink, and he felt like he was looking through binoculars. He couldn't see all around him. There were no more cobwebs, no more shining beams of red light warning him of hidden soldiers. Pepper cowered on the ground. Iago's teeth ground an alarming noise. You made us cry for you, he rephrased. Behind him, or off on another planet, Iago heard the stifled sob that burst from Arlie's throat. Iago had come to appreciate Arlie's friendship and kindness and warrior spirit more than almost anything. The amount of help they had been to him and Pinata was immeasurable. Iago did not like the feeling of watching his best friend cry over a slug. Tell me this is a joke. Iago prodded at the worm, his ashy soul tipping the frail man onto his side. Still he cowered. Still he did not look up. Iago felt like his eyes were marbles. He couldn't blink. He couldn't move his eyelids. There must have been a crazed expression sitting there. It felt unfamiliar. It felt like he had become a new character, one he'd never played before. If he was just a part in a script, he knew which one he would not be. He would not be the martyred hero who died tearfully after failing in his goal. When he'd buried Flora, her cheeks had not been wet with tears. Look at me. Tremors wove beneath Iago's skin, and he almost thought it was an earthquake, until he realized it was him. He was quaking. His skin was physically shaking. Dark green poured from under the skin of his arm opposite Rowley's shield, spreading into an even coat, crossing veins and sinew, muscle and other tissue. He now looked like a dumpling. There was that part of a dumpling where you could almost see the dark filling in the middle. Iago's arm had transformed into that. A pounding fractured at his temple, but it was as if his mouth was disconnected to the changes in his body. You killed Flora, Rosette. You killed all of those people. People you knew. People you worked with, fought with, lived with. How can you? How is it possible? It was fitting, really, that the next feeling to hit Iago was red. It started in his toes, like where Dolphin had first sprouted, and then it rose like a boiling kettle, releasing pent-up bubbles of air and heat and filling him all the way up. What was this feeling? What was happening? How can someone be so... There were no words. There were no words. Iago Denfar, the blonde woman tried to speak, but Iago held up a hand, and a spray of spikes pelted out of his skin, projectiling toward her. Everyone gasped as they almost hit her. These needle-like things were triangular. They looked like seeds on a tree. And because of their inherent spinning effect, they did not find their target, simply wheeling past her in a framing of confetti. Sharp confetti.